Okay, good morning. This is the notes on how to make and fill out a Punnett square. So yesterday, y'all did this top part with Miss Zahn. So today we're doing this part, and Gregor Mendel discovered how DNA and genes work using pea plants. So we're going to use one of his first traits that he used to do his genetics experiments with, and that is height in pea plants. For pea plants, tall is dominant. So y'all learned yesterday that capital T is the dominant trait. So that's a capital letter. The lowercase or recessive or weaker allele gets the lowercase letter. So that is short. A tall pea plant is about 5 feet tall. A short pea plant is less than a foot tall. So if we just look at this first video here, this one's talking about, oops, sorry about that. This one's showing you two parents. One parent is homozygote recessive for short. And this parent can give the first little t to all of it. And let's say this is a little girl. So we're going to make this an egg. So this short parent can give the first little t to her eggs, or it can give the second little t to her eggs. And I just drew circles around them to note that they're girls. You can do the same if you want with yours. The male parent has different letter, capital and lowercase letters. So he is hetero, because hetero means different. Homo means same. So this male parent, he could give some of his sperm, and I'm making them little sperm, we'll say this big T, and the rest of his sperm are going to say little t. So the male can give a big T or a little t to his babies, and the female can only give one of the two little t's. So if we look here, the first question is pretty easy because both parents are homodominant. So two big T's for the first parent. X means mates with another parent that is homozygous tall. And this one's pretty easy. So you've got one parent has two big T's. So this is one parent. And then this is the other parent has two capital T's. And that one's real easy because everybody's the same. But it gets different when you get over here. In fact, I'm going to skip and I'm going to do this one. When you do this one, you've got one parent is homozygous dominant for tall. The other parent is homozygote recessive for tall. Well, this is when setting up the Punnett square becomes important. One parent goes here in the Punnett square. The other parent goes on this side. So we don't use the right side of the box. We use the top of the box for one parent, the left side of the box for the other parent. It doesn't matter which parent goes where. However, you do need to keep it together. So these two big T's have to stay together. I'm just going to put mine right here. The other parent has two little t's. So that means that you're going to have two little t's go here. So it does matter. If you mixed one big T with one little t, that's going to change the outcome of this Punnett square. So what I want you to do right now is to kind of think about, because I know your notes are already filled up, I'm going to go ahead and set up the rest of these Punnett squares. So it doesn't matter where, I'm going to keep these two big T's together. So this time I've decided to put them up top. And then it makes with that capital X is a big T, little t. And so I'm going to put that parent up over on the left side. So these two alleles stay together with this parent. These two big T alleles, they stay together with this parent. And I have to do the same thing to everything else. Okay, so both of these parents have a big T and a little t. So it doesn't matter which parent goes where. I've got the big T because it was written first, and then the little t is written. And then the parent to the left of the box, the big T gets written first, and then the little t gets written second. And doing the last two, This one parent is a heterozygote, so this time it doesn't matter, so I've just decided I'm going to put them on this side of the box. So there's a big T and a little t. Then this other parent has two little t's, and that parent's going to go on the top of the box. Setting up this last Punnett square is easy because it's all lowercase. So they're all lowercase t's. Now I have to figure out, how do I solve this Punnett square? All right, so we're going to do this last one. We know because there's only little t's involved, every single box has to say little t. So we're just going to fill this one out real quick because that one, there's only little t's there. That's all there is. I'm going to go back up to this one. This one only has capital T's. So it doesn't matter. The only thing that's going to go in the box is capital T's. Now I'm going to concentrate on this one. I'm going to explain to you how this works. It's not hard. Once you get it, you got it. Okay, you just got to pay attention long enough to get there. So the way this works is, what letter do we capitalize in our names? Is it the first letter or the last letter? Y'all know it's the first one. So when I look here, this capital T is going to go into both boxes because it's a capital letter and it goes first. So there it goes. Now, this lowercase t, where does a lowercase letter go when we use our names? Do we put that at the beginning, or is that the letters after that? Well, that's going to be the letters after that. So this little t comes over in both of these boxes, but it's a lowercase, so we're going to put it over here because lowercase letters come last. Now, I'm going to go look at the letters that are above the box, and I change my colors. So here's a big T, and it's going to come down, and this big T is going to come down to this box as well. But it's a capital letter. We always put a capital first, so it goes on this side. Okay, this big T comes down, boom. And this big T comes down to this box too. But we have a little t and a big T that need to go in that box. We put the capitals first. So now we have solved that box. All right, so now we're going to look at this box here. Okay, so I'm going to do the capitals first just because they're easy. They always go first in the box. They go this way and this way. So there's a big T here. This big T comes here and it comes here. So I'm done with the big T. Those two big T's, they move over. The little t's move down. So this little t comes down to this box, and this little t comes to this box. The same thing here. This little t comes down, and it comes down again here. Okay, so you notice every single box says the same thing, big T, little t. All right, let's do the last two boxes. Okay, so I'm just going to do my capital T first. This capital T is going to go here and here. Okay, this is a lowercase t over here. Well, that's a lowercase, so it comes second. So it does go across, but I'm going to put it second because it's a lowercase letter. All right, now I'm going to take this big T and it's going to come down in both of my boxes. So this big T comes here and it goes here in this box because the big T, we capitalize the first letter of our name. So the big T comes first, then the little t. Now we come to this box and the little t has to go down to here and here. So the little t comes down and the little t comes down. Notice since there's two little t's in the box, it really doesn't matter which one goes first. All right, this last one, same thing. This big T comes over, and this big T comes over to this box. So everything goes this way. Now, this one, the little t now comes over as well. It's going to go this way, but it's a lowercase. Remember, we always put capitals first. So I'm just going to put it over here in this box on this side because we don't know what's at the top yet. So now I'm going to do my top. The little t is going to come down to both boxes. Well, it's got to go after the capital here. Here, they're both little t, so it doesn't really matter which one goes first. Now, this t here goes down to both of these. So it's going to go here because the lowercase always comes after the capital, and down here it doesn't matter. So we have now filled out our boxes. So that's the first step. All right, so now I'm going to put another sheet up that doesn't have all those arrows on it to make it easier for y'all to see. If I can get it taped down here. Okay, so now the question always becomes, students are like, well, Miss Edwards, what if I, instead of putting the big T, little t on the top, what if I put the big T on the top? Well, let's take a look. I solved the problem both ways with the big T, little t on top, and I got these answers. And then I solved the problem with the big T on top. Well, if we look, you have two capital T's, and there's two boxes that say capital T's. How many boxes over here have two capital T's? Two, but they're going this way. So here are my two boxes with capital T's. Here are my two boxes with capital T's. So I have the same number. Right here is big T, little t, and there's two boxes that say it, and they go in a line straight across. But in this example, they go in a line going down. So it does not matter which way you set up the Punnett square, you're still going to get the same results. The one thing you have to remember is you have to keep, this is one parent. You can't take the big T from this parent and add it to the big T from this parent over here, because this is inside of an organism. And y'all know we don't have people putting their hands inside our ovaries and testes and yanking genes out. That's not a thing. So we can't do it here either. So what we've got to do now is another thing y'all learned from yesterday is something called the phenotype, or looks like. So what is big T going to look like? Is it going to be tall or short? Well, it's tall. And how many boxes say tall? All of them. So it's 100% tall. So that's the phenotype, 100% tall. So this is why if you have two humans having babies and they both have dark brown eyes, all the babies, 100% of the babies are going to have dark brown eyes, because dark brown eyes in humans are homozygous dominant. All right, if we look at this one, whichever Punnett square we look at here doesn't matter. If we look at this one, how many boxes, okay, we know these are going to be tall because that's the only thing they say. But what's this going to be? If you have a big T and a little t present in the same P plant, which one of these two letters is dominant or strong? Is it the capital or the lowercase? Well, if you think the capital, you would be right. So even though there's a little t present, in the phenotype, it is ignored. And whatever the big T means, that's what it's going to be. So this is going to be a tall P plant. So even though these two boxes have a big T, little t, they still say tall. So this is going to be 100% tall. That's why this is 100% tall. This one is 2, because the big T dominates over the little one. All right, let's come and do this one. Every single box says big T, little t. So which allele is stronger, the capital or the lowercase? Well, it's the capital. That's the dominant. So all of these P plants are going to be tall. So 100% of them are going to be tall. Even though one parent is short, all of them are going to be tall because the homozygote parent has 2 capital letters. So if a blue-eyed and a brown-eyed person get married, dark brown-eyed person get married, none of the babies are going to be blue because the dark brown-eyed person has 2 capital letters. So that's going to dominate. All right, let's look here. So far, we've had 0 short babies. Let's look in here. 2 parents that are heterozygote have babies. Now, whoops, looks like I made a mistake here. This is a big T. Okay, so how many boxes? We just know here that big T, little t is tall. Same thing over here. Big T, little t is tall. So big T, little t is tall. So there are 3 boxes that say big T, that have at least 1 big T in them. So that means that is 75% tall. Now, how did I get the 75%? Well, the way you can look at this as each box is worth 25%. I've got 3 boxes, so 25 plus 25 plus 25 is 75%. Or if you prefer money better, think of this whole Punnett square is worth $1. That means that each box in the Punnett square is worth $0.25. How much money do you have if you have 3 quarters? Y'all probably already said 75 cents. So 75, instead of putting the cent sign, just put the percent and you got the answer. Well, there's 1 quarter here, or 1 box that says little t, little t. What does the little t stand for? Is short. So that is 25% are short. Okay, so 75% are tall, 25 are short. So this is what's meant by the phenotype, the physical description of what the babies are going to look like. And Gregor Mendel actually did this. He did 3,000 plants and he worked all this stuff out to look at the babies. All right, number 5. Okay, we have here, how many boxes say big T's? Have at least 1 big T in them. Because we know from over here, big T, little t is tall because the little t is weak. It's ignored. So there are 2 boxes that say big T, little t. What percent or how many cents do you have if you have 2 quarters? It's 50% and they're going to be tall. So these 2 babies are going to be tall. What are these 2 babies going to look like? They only have little t's. And there's 2 boxes or 2 quarters. So that's 50% short. Okay, so we've done 4 Punnett squares now. 5 Punnett squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Only 2 boxes have actually had short babies so far. This box, what are all these babies going to be? They say 2 little t's. Are they going to be tall or short? So they're going to be all short babies. So this is how you do Punnett squares. Okay, so in this case, do you think a farmer wants to grow short pea plants or does he want to grow tall ones? Or she? Short pea plants only make peas on a plant that's a little bit less than a foot or 12 inches tall. Tall pea plants are 5 foot tall. So every farmer, they want to be careful. They don't want to get any of these short babies because they're not going to get as much money from their crop. So they're going to want to get tall babies. So they're going to want to make pea plants like this, or like this. They don't want to mate any of these pea plants together because they're not going to make as much money. So that is the Punnett square. Okay, I know that you're going to have lots of questions. I'm hoping that a lot of you are going to join the Zoom. Please do so, and we will be working out problems. Your classwork, when you submit your work, the Punnett squares that you have to, that you have to set up yourself, those Punnett squares are going to, when you click on the answer, they're going to give you the solved Punnett square so you can compare it to your Punnett square to see what you did wrong. Okay, so it's very important for this week for you to do the classwork on time and listen to the note videos so that you can keep up with us, and then attend the Zoom session so we can answer your questions. Okay? All right, good luck, and I'll talk to you soon.